It is Saturday morning cartoons. And this is about as animated as we're going to get this Saturday morning. Of course, this is the Wheel of Fortune tarot cards, sort of the white bread standard go-to Rider-Waite Smith deck. Uh, and just look at the English letters there, because it's going to spell, let's see, let's do it this way. No, let's do it this way. It spells rota. R-O-T-A. So let's get really fancy. R-O-T-A. You're traveling through another dimension. A dimension not only of sight and sound, but of mind. In the wheel of heaven revolving, mysteries of death and birth, in the womb of time dissolving, shape anew a heaven and earth, ever growing, ever dwindling, ever something, ever dear, ever worth the passion glowing to distill a doubtful tear. These are with me, these are of me, these approve me, these obey. Choose me, prove me, fill me, love me, master of the night and day. I'm sure I just butchered that particular poem. That is by Aleister Crowley. And I have perhaps ruined this tarot card by sticking this pen to it with chewing gum. I think it'll come off better a little later. I'll just, what I do for Monday morning class. Yes, Monday morning class is what we call it, even when it's Saturday morning cartoons. Anyway, let's just put that there. Yesterday I installed an air conditioner. I mean, a little room air conditioner. It still weighed 400 pounds, but, and I'm not very handy, and it was crazy, and I was sweating and cursing and sweating, and but it's in, and I cranked it up yesterday, and it made my office feel so good. It's going to be a forecast. It's going to be cooler than yesterday, thank God. But cooler means it's only going to be 103 today. So we're settling in. Constance is out right now on her bicycle while it's still under 95, because she likes to get out, and the yard sales usually are very interesting in this neighborhood. But anyway, we've got a load. I'm sure you don't need to hear this, but we got a load of laundry going. She left me, and sometimes the washing machine gets overbalanced, and it starts to walk. It goes, and then I got to rush and put it on pause. So if right in the middle of our little Saturday morning cartoons here, I have to get up and catch the washing machine, forgive me. Today is going to be pretty short. It was one of those days where I sort of just said to the universe, what is my message? What do I deliver today? What does somebody or everybody need to hear a little something about? And I walked to the coffee shop, my Morning Temple coffee shop, I said hello to Madeline there at Temple Coffee, who always treats me kinder than I deserve. Uh, and before I just turned around and walked back, I sat down for a minute and just more or less closed my eyes and said, "What does the universe need to hear from me today?" And I opened my eyes, looking for some kind of sign. And there's a guy and his little family pushing a baby carriage, and they're walking out with their coffee, and they sit down at a table right across from me, or near, and he turns his back to me, and on the back of his T-shirt it says 137. 137. Now, I ask myself, is this my message? Because 137, uh, it's not a 93 or a 156 or a 418 or a 666 or a 33. You know, 137, for me anyway, didn't immediately signify a profundity of some kind. But I was so late this morning and so tired that I said, I'm going to take that 137 and run with it this morning. And so I get home and I pull out my trusty Liber 777, which in the days that I bought it was called the Kabbalah of Aleister Crowley, Gematria, Liber 777, and Sefer Sephiroth. And I looked up 137, hoping to find something just awesome. And I did. 137. It's the Hebrew word spelled Aleph, Vav, Pei, Nun. AVP or AU or AOPN. Open. Another one just hit me right there. Open. But it's the Hebrew word for a wheel. Then I started to think, hey, this is, wheel. There's another Hebrew word for belly and gullet. I'm not sure that that jumped out at me. It sags from me, but it doesn't jump out Kabbalistically. And the Hebrew word for an image or a statue. And it's from Genesis 28, verse 22. And I haven't looked it up, but I believe it's among the Ten Commandments that thou shalt not make any graven image. Not sure what that was about, but it was important enough to be one of the Ten Commandments. And I think from a magical point of view, the powers that be didn't want people making statues and images and sex dolls and things like that. Okay. No Hustler magazines here. Okay. But of course, that's where my dirty little mind goes immediately. But the third one was simply the word Kabbalah. QBLH. Wheel Kabbalah. So that's why I opened with that goofy thing. I hope I really didn't deface that card permanently. Usually gum rubs off. But anyway, that rota reminded me of something I wrote 1,000,000 years ago at the opening of my book, Tarot of Ceremonial Magic. You can tell. This is the very first one Weiser sent me before it was even released to the public. So what year was that? It's in remarkably good shape for 1995. Okay. So I'm just going to briefly share with you my thoughts, my Kabbalah thoughts on the Kabbalistic mandala of chapter 1. And we got the rota. The traditional version of the Wheel of Fortune card displays 4 letters. T-A-R-O, placed upon the rim of a great wheel. As the wheel turns, we read the letters in a variety of orders and permutations, including Otar, which means to purify oneself, or Rota, the wheel, or Arat, which means vigilance, or Torah, the law, or Orat, which means ah, or Troa, the gate, or At Or, which means thou art, and Ratot, which means vibration. Just what we were talking about with the washing machine. I love that. Ratot means vibration. Ratat. I wouldn't blame you for just shutting me off this morning. A little imagination and a free afternoon with the Hebrew and Latin lexicon will render a dizzying array of other meanings and messages. My point is more fundamental. The tarot is a wheel, a mandala, revealing the mechanics of creation. Each card has its place upon the great wheel, from the inscrutable 0 of the Fool to the dense materiality of the 10 of discs. For our study, we will move from the center of the wheel outwards, from the cosmic to the mundane. As we approach the rim of the wheel, we will begin to recognize aspects of our own being and the world around us. Used with skill, the tarot allows us to observe this development as we may trace the hidden influences that underlie and support our world and our being. In order for the tarot to speak to us, we must first learn its language, a language of numbers, of colors, of images. We must also try to understand the fundamentals of the spiritual discipline that created that language, the Holy Kabbalah. Under the title 1 and 4. 1 and 4. A rule of thumb. And I quote Genesis 1:27. And the Elohim. Now remember, Elohim is both male and female. It's been just loosely tragically translated just God. Well, of course, everything's God. This is God. That's God. Okay, yeah. But in the back of our crazy minds, when we think God, we think of that, oh, God, usually male. Okay. No, the Elohim, the God that is male and female. But I digress. And the Elohim created Adam. In the image of the Elohim created they them. Male and female created they them. If we could for a moment put ourselves in the place of the early Hebrew mystics and view the above verse from the book of Moses, first book of Moses, with the same holy awe as did they, we would begin our investigation of deity by first investigating ourselves. Even before birth, the child in the womb finds its thumb and recognizes this digit as the source of comfort and self-nurturing. It is the thumb's opposition to the other four fingers that first enabled the human hand to make tools and weapons and fire and noise. Okay. The hand distinguishes primates and humankind from the rest of the animal kingdom. Well, there's lemurs and possums even, okay? And its appropriate symbol for the dominion of the human race, or at least from that point of view of Genesis, folks, okay? For this reason, it is safe to assume that the hand was a fundamental subject of speculation and meditation among the ancient Kabbalists. Okay. So, which may have special significance to our Kabbalistic friends in Michigan. Kabbalists teach that the Hebrew alphabet is the very tool of creation, taught by God to the angels and by the angels to Adam. The Hebrew word for hand is yod, yod vav d, spelled in full, YVD. I'm going to say it. You've heard me say it again. YVD. Not a public health question. Okay. But it's the 10th letter of the Hebrew alphabet and represents numerically the number 10. Hand equals 10. Interestingly enough, the remaining 21 Hebrew letters are variations of the letter Yod. That Yod is that just little tiny single flame. Let's see. You could indeed, Yod could indeed be called the source of all letters. So if you got a single candle flame and you just sort of blow at it at different angles, the flickering thing creates all the other Hebrew letters. Because the human hand has 4 fingers and 1 thumb which vivifies them, 4 ruled by a 5th, the ancient Kabbalists surmise that the hand of the Creator, or the mechanics of the involving universe, must be an absolute unity which manifests and operates through a fourfold process. The formula is universal and permeates all levels of existence and consciousness. To express the mechanics of this very fundamental observation, the Hebrew mystics embodied the formula in the concept of a single God with a four-letter name, Yod, He, Vav, He. These four letters, Yod, He, Vav, He, are representative of four descending worlds through which the creative process is actualized. The highest world is Atzilith for Yod, Braya, creative world for He, Yetzirah, the world of formation, and He final is Asiya, or the material world. And we have that same counterpart, miniature versions of that, in the four parts of our soul. Yod, the Chai, the life force itself, and He, the Braya, and the Neshama, the soul intuition, then the Ruach, the intellect, and then the material body, the Asiya, or the Nepish. Okay, excuse me. The four Kabbalistic worlds also serve as the blueprints for the four parts of the human soul, just as Lon said, okay? And those are also exemplified in the four elements, fire, water, air, and earth, respectively, and in the tarot, the wands, cups, swords, and discs. Anyway, that is the little tangent that I went on this morning by looking at the man's t-shirt. Oh, t-shirt. Excuse me for a second. Excuse me. T-shirt. T-shirt would be 537. That would, add a capital T to it. Let's just see what 537 is, so I can leave you with at least one scrap of wisdom here. 537. Wow. It's the world of Atzilith itself, the highest of the Kabbalistic worlds, the archetypal world. And if I'm wading through the Latin here, medulla spinalis, I believe that's referring to the part of the brain, which is the medulla oblongata, right back here, if I'm not mistaken. So, wow. That's a little more food for thought for me this morning. Anyway, that's it. That's it for Saturday morning cartoons. Go have some fun today. If you're up here in the Northern California area, have some cool fun. And if you have to go out in this, don't anyway. It's going to be hotter than hell. That's it for Saturday morning cartoons. Hopefully, I'll have an inspiring, awesome sermon for you tomorrow for Sunday school. And until then, continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will.